Well, we're going to get more now. Speak to former Villa midfielder, just like that, by magic, Paul Merson. Really good to see you. Goodness me, we saw you in the studio right here, just emphatically celebrating last night. I mean, sum up just how special an evening it was for Villa. How does it rank? Where does it rank in their European history?
Well, I think, you know, many years ago they won the European Cup, which seemed, 40 odd years ago. So amazing. You know, I was fortunate to play for the club 20 odd years ago. It's a big, big football club, this. I was so pleased with the fans last night. It's where they should be, you know, nights like this. But it just shows you how hard the Premier League is. It's so hard to get there, to get in the top four, to get into the Champions League and to get nights like that. That's how competitive this league is. And it's taken them this amount of time to get there. But yeah, so pleased. The people were fortunate to be there last night. The atmosphere, from where I was watching it in the Sky Studios, was absolutely rocking. Than that, I honestly don't.
I mean, it was so special, wasn't it? And in particular, it wasn't just any opposition. I mean, this was Bayern Munich. They've been fancied by many and tipped possibly to win the Champions League as well. So will this result actually send a few shockwaves across Europe?
Well, it will, Hayley, because they're 41 group games without losing. 41 group games. That is just phenomenal. To not lose for 41 games in the group stages, and especially with a team like Bayern Munich, for the last two games of virtually every group they've played in, they've already qualified and they still win or draw. Yeah, phenomenal result. Honestly, these are one of the powerhouses of the Champions League. These are being the top 5 or 6 to go all the way to the final. So, yeah, it's not just anybody. It's a massive result. That's 2 wins now. Their next 2 games look very winnable in the Champions League. Before you know it, you've got 12 points. They're going to, I'm not jumping ahead of myself here, but then they need another 4 points really to qualify for the knockout stages, which will be absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, it will, because, I mean, you've got to think of the confidence it's going to give them that they can go deep into this competition.
Yeah, I don't want to dampen it here, but if this was a 2-legged game and they had to go back to Bayern Munich, they'd be right up against it. You'd think that I wouldn't give them a chance in the second leg, if I'm being honest, because that's an experience. And I see what happened to Arsenal last season with Bayern Munich. They're seasoned pros at it, but it's not like that at the moment. This is why this tournament looks quite good at the moment, because there's a lorry load of games, so it doesn't really make a difference. Because if you're Bayern Munich now, and this was the old group stages, Bayern Munich are thinking, we might come second in this group. And if you come second in your group, then you're playing one of the big boys. So it does give you that little bit of leeway. But if this was a 2-legged game, I'd still expect Bayern Munich to go through. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about what an unbelievable result tonight.
Yeah,
last night, sorry.
Yeah, we absolutely are. I mean, actually, on this new Champions League format, actually, do you think it suits Villa's chances more?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely 100%. Because they'd have probably come in this draw as a number 3 or number 4 seed. So they'd have been up against 3 big boys in it, or at least 2. And they'd have needed a couple of results like last night to have a chance of qualifying. So absolutely 100% it suits teams like Arsenal. You know, it seems to suits teams like Celtic. You know, one week they win 5, following week get beat 7, but they're still in the tournament. And I think this is where it works for teams. And I'm sure by the end of this tournament and the setup, there's going to be games where someone's got to win to get into the top 8 and someone's going to have to win to get into the top 16. So there's a lot to play for still. I like it. I do like the way it is at the moment.
Tell you what, we've not mentioned Unai Emery. Goodness me, what a master tactician. Just how good is he and where does he rank amongst, I guess, some of the best managers in the world right now?
Phenomenal manager. Phenomenal. He went to Arsenal at the wrong time, in my opinion. I think, you know, following Wenger was a big ask. You know, Arsene Wenger, one of the greats. This man is a top coach. Top coach. This man improves players. You go through your Mourinho's, your Sir Alex Ferguson's, your Wenger's, Pep Guardiola, Klopp, Arteta. People like that, they improve players. That's what they do. Top coaches improve players. And he's done that with, I think, every player. Every player at Aston Villa, for me, has improved over since he's been there. He's an unbelievable manager, an unbelievable tactician. He's right what he said last night. They could have maybe got beat, but they didn't. They hung in there. You know, Arsenal beat him a couple of weeks ago when sort of Arsenal done what Villa done to them the season before. Villa are a massive improved football club. You know, they're a good team. You know, it doesn't shock me, if I'm being honest. I was, you know, as I said, I was fortunate enough to play there. This is a big, big football club, a huge football club that I don't think people understand how big it is unless you live in Birmingham.
Let's talk about another match-winning goal. Let's talk about John Duran. I mean, he came off the bench again, super sub. Does Emery need to find a way to get both him and Ollie Watkins in the team? Can that be done? Should that be done?
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I think at the moment he is an unbelievable football weapon off the bench. I think if I'm a manager and I'm Emery, if it's not going well, I turn around and I've got Duran on the bench. I've got a chance. I've got a chance. And that's what you want as a manager. You know, not every week it's going to go great and you're going to be playing free-flowing football and everything's great. Some days you have to look to that bench and you turn around and you go, who's going to get me out of trouble today? And John Duran, he's as good as anybody at the moment as coming off the bench, affecting games. If he starts the next game, doesn't do great, you turn around and it's Watkins on the bench. I don't think Watkins gets the credit he deserves. He does a lot of hard work before Duran comes on. You know, he's tireless in his runs. He makes great runs. He keeps the centre-halves busy. You know, and then Duran comes on and scores an unbelievable goal. It's not easy to come off the bench. It's not easy to come off the bench. He makes it look easy. He reminds me of a bit like a Solskjaer, you know, a Flo, Andre Flo, it was at Chelsea. They come off the bench, they affect it. They make it look easy. It's not an easy job to do, to get into games that quickly and to affect games. So for me, no, I think he stays on the bench, in my opinion.
Okay. Right. I mean, we're going to be chatting more Aston Villa throughout the football show as well, looking at some of the stats. But we want to get through as much as we can with you because we want to talk Arsenal. We want to discuss Bukayo Saka speaking this week, saying, I do think this is the year. I think we've been close the last two. And he said, and we are getting closer. Do you see Arsenal as title favourites now?
I don't know. I think it's the heads or tails. I think it's heads or tails. I still think if Liverpool keep all their players fit, I think Liverpool are in it as well. I really do. But I like the way he's talking, Saka. I like that. You know, I think before it was just on the coattails of Man City, he didn't really say anything. Now they're like, you know what, we got a chance. We can win this. And I like that talk. I like that talk. He's not saying we're definitely winning it. He said we have a chance of winning it. And this could be our year. And I think they got every single chance. I mean, you watch them the other day against Paris Saint-Germain. Wow. Oh, you know, it's light years away. Light years away. They were head and shoulders above PSG. You know, and this is our strongest. I keep on going back to how strong the Premier League is. It's a phenomenal league. It's so difficult. It
is, especially when you look at where Man United are in the Premier League. We want to talk about them. They're in the Europa League.
Some teams make it a lot harder.
That's true. They've got Porto tonight. I mean, it's followed by a tough game, of course, at Villa on Sunday. How pivotal are these two games for Erik ten Hag's future, do you feel?
It's a hard one. I think over the last couple of years, you know, I've sat on Soccer Saturday many a time on a Saturday, and we've talked about this so many times. You know, Ten Hag. And he's always got that game. He's always had that game against a bottom three team when he needs to win a game, or a team that haven't won in 7. This time round, this is the first time I've seen him under pressure, and he's got a really difficult football match against Aston Villa away. And this is the first time. Is he under pressure? You know, we say it and we look at the league position. But the man who's come in and taken over at Man United is a billionaire. He's not a billionaire from being lucky. You know, he's a billionaire from making the right decisions, not panicking, and having a broader idea. And if this is a plan and it's a project and it's a 5-year project, then there's nothing wrong at the moment. You know, for me, it's just going to be a steady progress. You can't think they're going to come in and they're going to catch Man City and Liverpool and Arsenal in 1 year. They're a million miles off. It's got to be steady. It's got to be steady. The problem is, I'm at an age where, I remember the Man United team that were the Tiger Woods of football. You finished above Man United, you won the league. I just don't know where it's gone so quickly. It's just, it saddens me. I know how big this football club is. It's a huge club. And at the moment, they are a million miles away. And I don't want to sound dramatic here, but they are a million miles away. And this is where it's got to be sorted out. But they got 2 very difficult games. Forget the Porto game. The Villa games are one. And this is the first time that he's been under severe, severe pressure and he hasn't been given a give-me football match at Old Trafford.
And there have been some very interesting comments, all the drama that we broke this week from his former assistant, Benny McCarthy. I mean, he praised Ten Hag's tactical knowledge, but suggested he needed more passion, needed to show more passion. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think you keep your own personality. I think, you don't want to change that. I think that's the way he is. He's been like that. He's probably been like that all his life. So why should he come in and change? I think the thing is, he's a good tactician. You hear when he puts it onto the pitch, you rely on other players. That goes off. I don't like that passion one. I don't like when people jump off the bench and they come forward and they start giving it all that and with their fingers. No, he stays there. Don't change. Don't change. He's a human being. Don't change for the front of it. It's not worth it. And have faith in what you do. It's not going right at the moment. Of course it's not. But you don't have to be an entertainer and be someone different. He got to Man United because he was a good tactician, not because he was a laugh and a joke and he showed some passion. He ran up and down the pitch and, sort of fronted it up with the fans. Oh, look, Ten Hag cares. I don't buy into all that stuff.
Okay. Chelsea, let's talk them in Europa Conference League a little bit later against Ghent. You impressed with what you've been seeing from Enzo Maresca's side?
Well, we see the difference here with Ten Hag and Maresca is you can see what Chelsea are trying to do. Chelsea have a plan. Arsenal have one and Villa have one and Man City have one and Liverpool have one. You see that with Chelsea. It is a bit of a panic at the moment. You go to the games, you sit there on the edge of your seat sometimes when they're playing out from the back and you're like, they got through the press. But when they get through it, they're ruthless. They're ruthless. And it's going to take time for the defenders to get comfortable and start playing out the way they want to play out. But there's improvement. And that's all you ask. You ask for improvement. It's great. Sometimes it's a bit worrying. But when they beat that press, because teams are like, sort of gambling against Chelsea now, thinking, well, we got to go and squeeze them because we got a chance of scoring every time they got the ball at the back. But if they get through the press, then it's wide open. And they have players on the counter-attack that can literally rip you apart. And that's why, for me, Chelsea, the team to watch at the moment, they're very entertaining at both ends of the football pitch.
I've only heard Ten Hag raise his voice once, and it was all about asserting control at Manchester United. A 5-hour flight wasn't exactly how Erik Ten Hag would have chosen to prepare for 2 crucial matches with Manchester United this week. Outside the Porto club store, a familiar face looms large, Jose Mourinho. His image is omnipresent in the stadium, revered for his success with the club. In front of the press room, a giant screen captures Mourinho kissing the Champions League trophy, while the museum's entrance is guarded by Porto's glittering trophy cabinet. As United's manager, Ten Hag has often discussed his own ambitions, but the start to his week was less than ideal as the team's plane landed 2 hours and 40 minutes late, a delay that mirrors United's sluggish start to the season. Flight trackers showed United circling over Braga in a holding pattern, waiting for clearance to land due to Porto's rainy, cloudy weather. United are no strangers to arriving late for European matches, having done so in Munich and Copenhagen last year. Like many fans making the trip to Porto, United's players and staff were stuck on the Manchester runway for nearly 2 hours before finally taking off. There was even a brief suggestion that United might skip their pre-match press conference altogether, but UEFA wasn't impressed with that idea. When Ten Hag finally took his seat at 9:06 p.m., over 2 hours late, there was no Diogo Dalot alongside him. Dalot, who was scheduled to appear, had been excused to focus on his pre-game preparations. United's press officer apologised for the delay and thanked the waiting journalists for their patience. Ten Hag's European record at United has taken a hit. After winning 8 of his first 10 European matches, his side has now won just 1 of their last 9. Despite a successful first season, Ten Hag continues to insist that United are in a period of transition as they enter his 3rd season. But why? Because, of course, when I arrived in the first season, we had to replace 6 or 7 senior players, Ten Hag recalled, mentioning Mata, Matic, Pogba, and Lingard. We began a process, but even this summer, we had to replace a few more. We brought in young players like Xerxes and Lena Euro. They need time to adjust to the standards of the Premier League and a club like United. We need to integrate them into our playing model and the demands of this league. As usual, Ten Hag remained composed. No, he didn't need a confidence boost from the powers that be. He was driven, channeling his intensity into turning the team's fortunes around. The only time he raised his voice was when reflecting on the summer overhaul. We made that agreement in the summer. We had the discussions, we reviewed everything, made our decisions, reshaped the squad, and I appointed my assistants. I did that. The emphasis all night was deliberate, a clear attempt to silence the noise surrounding rumours of Ruud van Nistelrooy being a favourite among bookmakers to replace him. But those whispers aren't likely to die down anytime soon. Porto's manager, Vitor Bruno, was brief but genuine in his pre-match comments, refusing to underestimate United. I've heard people say Ten Hag, is coming under pressure, but we're focused on reaching the next stage. It's easy to decode United's team and see who's on the other side. Anyone spinning a different narrative isn't telling the truth. They have their weaknesses, as all teams do, but they were close to beating the best team in the world this season, Manchester City. They also played with 10 men against Tottenham. United's Europa League campaign has taken some strange turns, with a nod to former managers like Carlos Carvalho, who warned Bruno about England's fierce post-match rituals. Bruno, who hasn't met Ten Hag yet, seems intrigued. I don't know him, but I'd love to. A coach who worked in England told me that after a game, they all drink a glass of wine together. If Ten Hag wants, our dressing room is open to him. It's part of life here. In Portugal, if you lose, it's almost like you're dead. Some already think Ten Hag is a dead man walking. After all, Mourinho was sacked by United the same year his contract was extended. The pressure is mounting.